a real impact on turnout. So Tara, you got to love this, right? The latest poll has Kemp with a huge lead over David Perdue, Trump's avowed candidate. However, Trump hates Kemp. How could that be a factor in the battle between Abrams and Kemp?
So the interesting part about this is that not only is Brian Kemp absolutely dominating the primary, Donald Trump hates to lose and he hates to spend money. And both of those things are going to happen for him in Georgia. He spent $2 million. His PAC sent $2 million to Purdue, which is the largest, I believe, amount of money that his PAC has given to any candidate for nothing. He's going to lose. And the thing about this is that there's also not only the Kemp race, but there's also the Secretary of State race, which we should be paying close attention to with Brad Raffensperger, who is someone else that Trump despises, because it was Kemp and Raffensperger who bravely said, no, we're not going to find those 11,000 votes and make them up so you can win. They stopped the scheme. So they are at the center of this, of the election fraud attempts by Donald Trump, and he's most likely going to be handed a huge loss there. And I think it's important for us to pay attention to that, because it will be a harbinger about whether the political weaponization of the big lie is successful or not going into the fall. Because we can tell that Donald Trump and MAGA world is investing a lot in candidates who are focused on that aspect of it. This is part of the revenge tour. Will it be successful or not? Primaries are very different than general elections. So when you see Kemp against Stacey Abrams in the fall, I think the dynamic this year will be a little bit different, because the presence of Donald Trump in these races is such a motivating factor that it may be a lot more competitive, and was competitive last time, but it could come down to the wire again in the fall for the Georgia governor's race.
Well, Tara, speaking of a dynamic, Georgia's Senate race, U.S. Senate race, football legend and Republican candidate Herschel Walker, who, in my humble opinion, as a former county chairman, state chairman, and national chairman, is completely inexperienced for the job ahead of him. And yet, he's got Trump's endorsement, his stamp of approval. The MAGA world is all gaga for him. How does that shape up for you? How does that Senate race against Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock look to you?
This just gave Senator Warnock a much greater chance at winning re-election in November. He's been doing an excellent job as senator. He's very well respected in the state. And you compare him to an absolute degenerate like Herschel Walker. He is a degenerate, loser, liar, fraud, domestic abuser. OK, and this is someone who the Republican Party has backed as their Senate candidate. Shame on Mitch McConnell and everyone else who has put up with the sham that Herschel Walker is. What an embarrassment. Michael, you and I know that candidate recruitment was really, really important, and something that the Republicans used to be prideful about. They used to have pride in this, and about the quality of the candidate they put forth, especially for Senate. And you have this fool as your leader for the Senate race in Georgia. I mean, not only is he, a liar, he lied about graduating top of his class in Georgia. Well, you didn't need to do much research to find out that that was a lie. Let's be honest. He's also has a violent history against women, police officers. He's talked openly about, murderous thoughts. I mean, really? Not only that, it just came out recently in I believe it was an AP report, that there's questions about his role in a veterans charity, which is something that he has used as a point of his biography and his resume as something that he's done, working with veterans. Well, there's questions about the role that he played there and whether they preyed on veterans and scammed the government. This is so on brand for Donald Trump and who he supports. So, you have a third-rate loser who's come back and now saying, spouting MAGA talking points, and now he's Trump's guy. Why are we surprised? But it's an embarrassment for the Republican Party.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of embarrassment to go around for sure. I want to thank Tia Mitchell for spending a little bit of time with us. Tara, I want to bring you back in our next hour to have some more talk about crazy. Still to come on the Sunday show, more on President Biden's first trip to Asia since taking office, plus the latest out of Ukraine and what the latest package from the U.S. could mean for Ukrainian fighters. But first, how confident should Democrats be that they'll earn the black voters' support ahead of November's make-or-break midterms? Guess what? We're not all a monolith, y'all. Come on now. It's a conversation you don't want to miss.